Hey there YouTube, it's Dan Strong with Excel VBA is Fun. Thanks for tuning back in. This is part 2 of our two-part series. We have a gentleman who assesses corn plots and fields and does something with that. Anyway, in part 1 we built something that looks kind of like this. I actually had to study my notes and I switched around the two variables. One was called plots and one was called ranges. Basically this said ranges and this said plots, and I just switched them and everything's working out perfectly now. So if you had 4 by 5, which is what this is, it creates 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, so it started with 101, 201, 301, 401, and then it goes over here and does 102, 202, you get the point. It's always going to generate the same. There's 3 different walking patterns that he might do. Using the same setup here, he may have 1 or 3 different types that he uses for his assessment. So if he uses a serpentine pattern, he'll walk up the first one and then go up to this one, 301, 401, then he'll go to 402 and walk all the way down to 102. And go. You see here with the arrows, it makes it pretty easy. But if he does a sequential pattern, he actually is going left to right, and then so from 401 to 405, and then going left, and then going down, and then going right, and then down, and then over until it's done. So, and finally, the true sequential is this pattern: left to right. Begin on the next row, left to right, begin on the next row, left to right. So we're going to do each different pattern, and it's going to look like this. So if he's doing an assessment page in Serpentine pattern, it'll look like this: 101, 201, 301, 401, 402, etc. So it'll basically just plot that out on this sheet, and that's going to be on this assessment sheet. So let's go ahead and do some prelim stuff here. Copy all this jive. Looks like I'm in the middle of a macro, so there we go. We're going to copy all this stuff here over to his assessment sheet, and this will be his new assessment sheet. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now we're just going to start on row 8 on this sheet every time, and create a new one there. On the map sheet, what we could actually do, whenever this button is clicked, is clear out the last report. So we could do map.clear contents, or let's see, map.cells.clear contents. That should clear out all the cells in this sheet called map. Okay, so every time we run it, it'll clear everything out and then rerun a new report for us. Anyway, here's where we are. We are to the point where the report is already run, and now we're wanting to fill the assessment sheet here. So we're going to go ahead and go up to the top here and set and declare that variable. So right next to here, we'll just say AS. How about A sheet as a worksheet? And that's good. And then we'll set A sheet is this workbook dot sheets, and it was called assessment sheet. Yes, that's correct. Assessment sheet. Okay. So we're to the point where if it's serpentine, it's one way, sequential, it's another way, and if it's true sequential, it's yet another way. Okay. Let's start on the serpentine pattern. Actually, right here, we're going to say that y is now going to be equal to 8, because y is now going to be our starting row on the assessment sheet. Let's go ahead and run our report. Okay. Let's do one that is 5 by 6. And we'll choose one that's serpentine. Hit OK. So now we have, well, let's see here. Well, it should have done. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. This should be ws.cells, not just the current, otherwise it'll do the current sheet. So, whoops, that was my mistake. Let me go ahead and go back and repattern out this sheet here from one of these. Okay, there we go. All good now. So let's go back here. Let's do a 4 by 5 serpentine. Hit OK. What object is required? Oh, it's not WS. It's map. Sorry, this sheet's called map. I was thinking of a different worksheet. Okay. I'm going to hit F5, and now we're here. So if you look over here on the map sheet, it did a 4 by 5 in our pattern. And let's just look over the serpentine pattern one more time. Or the walking pattern, serpentine. It starts at the bottom leftmost thing and goes all the way up, and then comes all the way down. All the way up, all the way down until it's over. So let's make a note of that. Start lower left, then up, down, up, etc. So that's our pattern for the serpentine pattern. So let's do that. We're going to start there. So do we already have a variable for the last row? Let's do one right now. LR equals map dot cells rows dot count comma 1 dot end xl up dot row. Okay, that's part of one of our basic series things. You need to memorize that pattern, and we'll show you how to do that in the series. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, that'll generate the last row on column 1 in the sheet called map. So if I hit F8, it says that the last row is 4. Let's take a look at the map sheet. It is 4. That's correct. So it did this. Bam. Control up. Right there. Alright. Let's actually take our little arrow and go back up to where we left off. Last row. Then after we get the last row, that'll be our starting point, but it's not where we stop by any means. So let's see here. Let's set a variable that sets the tone of the direction that we need to go. So how about up or down equals up. How about we'll do that? Up or down equals up. So to begin, and then we'll just switch it around each time we need to. Alright, so let's hit F8. Up or down is going to equal up. And then we're going to say we need to figure out some variables. We could actually probably just use these same ones. Let's see. Well, we'll use Y will be our columns, and we'll start at 1, and then we can increment as we need. And let's find out what the final column is. Actually, I take that back. Then we can create our loop. Okay, that sounds good. So our last column equals map.cells column 1 or row 1 column comma columns dot count dot end xl to left dot column. That'll get our last column. So, and that should show as column 5. So now we're going to go from, so we're going to say for y, let's see, or something. We could do for z equals 1 to LC. Oh, dang it, I take it back. I think y would be just fine for that. Let me erase this. Okay, so there's our columns. Or next y. Okay, let's go back up here. Y is going to be 1 to 5. And we'll start on the last column here. And we'll start on y. So, let's see. And we need to go to the other sheet too, so let's think here. That other sheet is called A sheet. So A sheet dot cells, and this is going to be oh, well, shoot, we already used y, didn't we? Alright. Okay, let's use this as z. I apologize. So this is y, comma 1. It's always going to be 1 on the A sheet. So if you take a look at the assessment sheet, it's always row 1. It just goes down until you're done. And so it's going to start on 8 and just increment like that. So we got that pretty much in place. Gosh dang it. Z. Okay. A sheet cells 8, comma 1 equals map dot cells, and that is going to be the last row, comma last row, comma it's going to be the bottom one, and it's going to be whatever z is, because right now we're on z, and we can probably work with that. Let's see how we do. That is 101, so that's what we want. Let's hit that there, and then the next z is going to be, so that'll put us on column 2. We don't need to go to the next z yet. So really we need to create another loop here. For x equals LR to 1 step minus 1. And that means that we're going to go from the last row to 1, and then going down by 1 each time. And to complicate things, really that should be varied based on if up or down is up or if it's down. So I would say if up or down equals up, then do this pattern right there. Else, and then we'll have to set a different pattern in a moment. Okay. As crazy as that looked, it just might work. Okay, so that is up. X is 4 to 1, going down minus 1. So it starts with 4, and then it'll go to 3, and then it'll go to 2, and then 1. So let's see, y comma 1 is that. That should be x, I think. At row x, comma z. And and we're going to increment y, which is on this sheet here. So let's see, 101, 101, okay. Then we'll go to the next y, which is 9 here. And the next x is going to say that. So let's take a look over here. Let's see, I should be 201. Okay. Then 301. Then 401. Okay. And then we're done with all of our x's. So now we go to the next z. Okay, so now we should be going to column 2. I guess at the very end of this it should say if up or down is up, then up or down basically is now going to be the word down. Else up or down is once again up. That way it'll alternate each time. So let's go back and assume that that was run. If up or down is up, well, it sure is. Now it's going to be down. So we'll go to the next z. Okay, so if up or down is up, well, it sure isn't. So now we go to the else. So now we need to establish a new pattern. Let's look over here. It should start here and go down to here. Everything else should be the same. So for these, we'll just have it, I'll copy that. We'll have x equal 1 to LR instead of LR to 1 going down 1. And let's see how that does. Let's see, for x is 1 to blah blah blah. 403. Let's see here. It doesn't sound right. Why did z go up so many times? Z should be column 2 now. Okay, I'm going to use the immediate window and cheat because I must have hit something twice. Z equals z minus 1. That's a temporary thing. So okay, so now we should be good. 402. Y equals y plus 1. Now it's 302. Okay, let's take a look at our assessment sheet here. So that's looking pretty sweet. 202, 102, now it should be 103, I'm thinking, because now the up or down is going to become up. And then that'll switch all this stuff here. So it should be 103, 203, 303, 403, and then 404 going downward. Cool, so we've got that one in the bag. And we are almost done. And now we're done. Okay, cool. So that just generated that for us. I'm not going to include the thing in here to clear out the last report because I want to focus on these different patterns. So we've got the Serpentine one down pat. Let's go ahead and add the word Serpentine to A6 whenever we're doing this. So if report equals Serpentine, then a sheet dot cells or a sheet dot range A6 equals Serpentine. Okay.